All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Round 3 of AMA Supercross for 2022 is in the books. It was a great night of racing. We had two first-time winners in the 250 class and the 450 class, and we're going to talk about it right now. All right, before we get into all the action that went down in San Diego, I want to say thank you for watching this video. If you like this content, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. And I also want to thank all of my sponsors, 60 Helmets, Decal Works, Race Tech, Big Moose Harley Davidson, and W Wheels. So if you need anything that any of my sponsors provide, go ahead and check them out. I think that they're the best in the business, so if you're in need, check them out. All right, so let's start off with the 250 class. There was some pretty exciting racing going on in that class, and for the first time, Christian Craig wasn't completely unbeatable, although I think it was still a great night for him. He still ended up leaving with the points lead. In the first turn of the main event, he ended up going down. He got up kind of slowly, was checking out his bike. It looked like there might have been something up with his shifter. I don't know if there's just a rock stuck in it or what, but he kept looking down at his shifter. But once he got rolling and got going, he was absolutely flying, ended up going all the way through the pack to third place. He couldn't quite catch up to the front two. They had a pretty big gap by the time he got to third, but it was still an incredible ride. I don't think you can really judge him too harshly for the first turn incident. It was just a whole bunch of guys going into the same spot. He had Shimoda on his left. Hunter Lawrence was a little bit ahead of him, got a better jump, and was a little bit ahead of him, and was trying to take that inside line that they were all going for, and they just kind of funneled together until somebody got pushed into the tough blocks, and a bunch of guys ended up going down. So it wasn't really like Craig made a mistake or did anything wrong. It's just a racing incident. A big shout out to Michael Mosiman, though. He got his first win ever. So I'm interested to see what happens after this now that he's got that first win under his belt. If he gets a good start, if him and Craig are up in the front, is he gonna have enough confidence to push him? Is he gonna feel like he belongs up front now and be able to take it to Christian Craig? That'll be interesting to find out. Hunter Lawrence rode really, really well. He was pushing pretty hard, and he ended up getting screwed up in the whoops, and I think a lapper kind of messed up his rhythm in the whoops a little bit, and then he swapped ends and went down. Still was able to get back up with a few laps to go and catch Mosiman, but he just wasn't able to put a pass on him. So that was your podium for the 250s. You went Mosiman, Hunter Lawrence, and Christian Craig. All right, so let's move into the 450 class now. There was some great racing in that class as well. Those guys are so unbelievably fast. There's so many guys going so fast. It's absolutely insane. The first few laps, the pace is ridiculous, and it doesn't seem to let up the whole race. I mean, everybody is just flying all the way through the race. So Musquin got the whole shot. Sexton got up into second place right away, and the two of them went at it for a little bit, maybe a lap and a half, and Sexton ended up getting by, and he just started marching away from the field. He had a 2.5 second gap on Musquin pretty quick, and then Musquin for some reason started dropping back. I don't know if he wasn't feeling right or if there was something up with his bike, but he sort of dropped off the pace pretty quick. Tomac was able to get into second place, and then Anderson was an absolute man on a mission. He started somewhere around 10th, right in that area, like 9th, 10th, and he was just blazing through the pack. He passed the likes of Musquin, Webb, Tomac. He was just flying by guys. He was really going fast. And then he got up into second place. He had, I think, like a 6 or 7 second gap to Sexton, and he was closing that gap down. It looked like he was going to be able to make a push, and if not take the lead, at least get close and make a race out of it. And then something started smoking on his bike, and he just kept fading back, which is unfortunate. So with Anderson having his issues and falling back, Tomac ended up getting into second place. Dylan Ferrandis got another subpar start. He was somewhere around midfield off the start. He ended up charging through the pack and getting by a lot of good guys. He got by Roxon, he got by Musquin, he got by Webb, and he ended up putting himself into third place, so he rounded out the podium. But again, those starts just keep hampering his progress. He could definitely do better if he got a better start. Cooper Webb rode well. He definitely didn't seem super aggressive. He didn't seem like he was pushing it really hard. I don't think he was super comfortable, but he didn't have that Cooper Webb, attack mode mentality. It looked like he was riding good and he was riding fast, but he couldn't quite pushed to that next level. And when guys were putting up a fight against him, he wasn't, cutting back underneath guys when they tried to go by him and doing a lot of his shifty little Cooper Webb racecraft moves that we've come to expect from him. Justin Barshall was another guy that had a pretty subpar race. He ended up finishing in 9th place and just didn't really seem to have a ton of pace for most of it. He was down in 12th, 11th, 13th. I know he did have that one incident with Justin Bogle where I think Bogle either stalled his bike or was trying to get off the track, and he was kind of like cutting off the track, and then Barshall came around and just ran right into him. It was a really weird incident, and Bogle was going really slow. I don't think he had any intention of blocking anybody. He was clearly having issues, but that was kind of a weird incident. So that's kind of how the night went for a lot of the big name guys. But let's talk about moving forward, all right? There's 4 guys I want to talk about moving forward from round 3. First one, we'll go with the first place finisher from San Diego, Chase Sexton. In my preseason preview show, I said that I wasn't convinced Chase was going to be able to put it together. I said I thought he was going to get a win or 2 this season, but he was going to put it on the ground too many times and put himself out of contention. So far, that's kind of playing out. He's put himself on the ground in Anaheim 1 twice. He had a mistake. I think he stalled his bike in Oakland to put him out of contention for that race. And he finally got it all together here in San Diego. He's obviously a young rider. It's only his second year in the 450 class. I think even with this win, he's still a little bit too raw, a little bit too immature. I'm not sure if I want to call him a title contender yet. So the second guy we're going to talk about here is going to be Eli Tomac. He now has the red plate. He's the points leader by, I think, 1 point, which is kind of crazy for the 450 class after round 3. But Eli Tomac is your points leader right now. So far we've seen pretty steady progression from Eli. He got, not the best start, not the best performance in Anaheim 1. Did decent in Oakland. Wasn't able to get on the box, but he was able to get up to 4th place. Looked more comfortable on the bike. And then last night in San Diego, was able to get up on the box, looked a bit more comfortable, looked a bit more aggressive, and put that bike in 2nd place. So I think he's definitely making strides, and I think he's a guy to look out for. Again, we haven't seen that late moto domination that we're used to from Tomac. I still think he's searching for settings a little bit with that bike. I don't think he's quite there yet with the bike. I think he's getting close, but I don't think he's quite there yet where he has that confidence to just go bonsai Eli mode and just go absolutely crazy at the end of the moto. But right now this field is so even at the end of the races. We're going to take a look at another lap time chart like I did last week so you can see what the top 10 were doing for the last 5 laps, and it's just crazy how close everybody is. The third guy that I want to talk about moving forward is the only guy that's been consistently great so far through these first 3 rounds, and that's Jason Anderson. I know you're probably thinking to yourself, he hasn't been consistent because he got a bad finish in Anaheim and he got a bad finish in San Diego with that win in the middle. But if you look at what actually happened in those races, he was marching towards a podium spot, actually passed Barshall for a podium spot in Anaheim 1, and then Barshall took him out like a jerk. So that ruined his Anaheim 1 race. Oakland, he got out to a good start, dominant performance. And then in San Diego, he was right there with Sexton. Sexton, Roxon, and Anderson were the only 3 guys to get into the 48-second range through the whole race. And he got himself into 2nd. Like I said, I think he was going to get close to Sexton. I don't know if he was going to have enough time left in the race to put a charge in for the lead, but he was definitely going to get close. He was cutting several tenths out, around each lap. I think one lap he cut down 0.8 of a second before his bike started smoking, and he had to start, slowing down. So he's definitely a guy that's been consistently good this whole season. He's just had a couple weird fluky things go wrong. He's only 6 points behind Eli Tomac in the championship, so he's definitely in it as far as the points are concerned. There's no reason to panic. The fourth guy that I want to kind of keep an eye on as we move into the next few rounds is the number uno of Cooper Webb. I've already talked about it a little bit. I don't think he's quite there with his bike. I don't think Cooper Webb's gone anywhere mentally, physically, talent-wise. I think he's still the champion that he was last year, so I don't see any reason to expect him to just fall off. I think he just hasn't quite gotten there with his bike set up yet. And when that happens, he's going to be incredibly dangerous. If he can just keep it in the top 5 for the next few weeks while he's getting his bike sorted out, even if it takes another 3 or 4 weeks, that's fine. You know, he's close enough in points. Everybody's close enough in points that it doesn't really matter. As long as he just keeps getting these top 5 finishes, staying up towards the front, and then takes the time to get his bike set up the way he wants it. If he's comfortable around 6 or 7 and still close in points, he's going to be a dangerous one to watch out for. Hasn't gotten the results he wants yet. He's not in the lead, but I think he's definitely one of the top contenders for the championship still. I don't think there's any reason to push the panic button. I think Cooper Webb's going to get it figured out. And as we know, the points are really close, but they're still incredibly close at the end of these races. So let's take a look at the lap chart for the average lap times for the last 5 laps of the race. All right, so if you take a look at this chart here and you look at the 7 guys with the red arrows next to their time, those 7 guys were all within 0.76 seconds of each other. So incredibly close at the end of the race. And to make matters even more crazy is you'll notice next to Chase Sexton's name, there's a 50.76 with an asterisk next to it. If you throw out his last lap and do the 5 laps before that, not including the last lap, that's what his average time would have been. He slowed down about 2.5 seconds on the last lap, so that threw off his average. Another thing that's kind of crazy about it is Anderson's bike was broken. There's no reason to think that Anderson wouldn't be able to match everybody else's pace at the end of the race. I think realistically, you've got 9 guys there that were all in that same, 0.7 second window, which is just crazy at the end of the race. It's great for us fans. It makes for good racing that these guys are all so close, and I can't wait to see what happens next week. I hope that the racing stays this way for the entire season. It's doubtful. It normally doesn't stay this way. Usually a few guys start to separate after round 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there. But man, it is making for exciting racing right now. Everybody is so close on pace, and no one's really separating themselves. Like I said, I hope that continues, but I don't think it's going to move. Going back to Anaheim for round 4, Anaheim number 2, I think if I had to pick a winner, I think I'm going to go with Jason Anderson. He's been the most consistently good guy. He's just had a little bit of bad luck. And if I had to pick a second favorite, I think I'd probably go with Eli Tomac right now. Sexton looks good. He could obviously do it. Webb could get some things figured out on his bike and do it. But I just think Tomac and Anderson are my favorites right now. That's who I'm going to pick for round number 4. Can't wait to get into it. Once again, I want to thank all my sponsors, 6D Helmets, Decal Works, Race Tech, W Wheels, Big Moose Harley Davidson. Thank you guys for supporting the Maine Motorcycle Addict. And thank you guys for watching. If you enjoy this content and you like to hear my little thoughts and theories and my predictions, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you get notified whenever I upload. And hit the like button if you don't mind. That helps out a lot too. And my daughter's at the door, and she's telling me that it's time to go. So I'm going to wrap this video up, and I'll catch you guys later.